You're looking at the Yunzii AL98, a 90% gasket-mounted mechanical keyboard with a full, heavy-duty aluminum build. This is really hefty and can be used as a weapon when the zombie apocalypse arrives. This is a tri-mode mechanical keyboard, so it connects via wired, 2.4 GHz low latency dongle, or Bluetooth. You can virtually connect to 5 devices all at once with just using the power switch on the top side of the keyboard. 3 devices via Bluetooth, 1 wired, and another connected via the dongle. This is powered by an 8,000 milliamp hour battery pack inside, so it should last probably about a week of heavy use with full RGB on. Out of the box, the keyboard sounds really poppy, as this is equipped with version 2 Yunzii milk switches. They sound really clacky, but when matched with a PC positioning plate and a fully dampened keyboard, they sound poppy, which is kind of like a hybrid between thok and clack. It is pre-lubricated and has 45-gram springs within, so it's just about the perfect balance for gaming and typing. In the event you don't like the switches, you may freely replace them, as this has a universal hot swap 3-pin or 5-pin compatible south-facing PCB. I highly suggest you try out switches with 40-gram springs and below for gaming, as this is the most comfortable spring weight for me when gaming for hours. And speaking of gaming, I did test this out for a ride in Delta Force, and the keyboard performed really well. In fact, I think the keyboard is really lucky, as I was put in a lobby full of noobs. The keyboard has all-key anti-ghosting or NKRO, so no interferences shall occur. This is paired with a polling rate of 1000 Hz, so response time is on par with what's standard in the market for regular gaming keyboards. This is VIA compatible, so you don't have to download anything online, just access the web software, and you should be good to go with key binding, macro recording, and LED customization. Inside the box, you get the keyboard, documentation, key puller combo, 2 extra milk switches, and extra Mac keycaps. Underneath the keyboard is where you will find the slot for the dongle, which is covered by a magnetic badge which you take off by pressing one side and flipping it off. Sadly, it didn't come with a PET anti-dust cover, which is something that I always look forward to when unboxing keyboards. Well, that's just fine. Now, onto the keyboard. This is a full aluminum build with a powder-coated finish. If you look closely into the coating of the aluminum, it has a rough texture, and I think if you hit this with something really solid, you could chip the paint away. The keyboard's internals is fully dampened with lots of layers of foam and sound-absorbing material. You even get a silicone damper within, which is the best damper you could get on a keyboard for maximum shock and vibration absorption. It is also really heavy and contributes a lot to the overall weight of the keyboard. I've talked a lot about weight a while back, but I think it's also worth mentioning that underneath the keyboard is where you will find a back weight plate, which then again adds more solid heft to the keyboard. The power switch and the USB-C input are panned to the left of the top side of the keyboard, which I think is ideal. Then, underneath, you do not get kick-up feet, so you couldn't angle this keyboard, but you do get anti-slip rubber pads, so it doesn't move around your desk. Let's move on. The keycaps we have here are double-shot PBT keycaps in cherry profile. I personally love cherry profile as it is what I am used to, so it's what I have already adapted to throughout the years. If you're coming from a budget keyboard, you're most likely using an OEM keycap profile set. And transitioning to cherry profile from OEMs, I've personally experienced less typos, so I stuck with cherries since then. Onto the stabilizers. They sound fairly quiet onto the keyboard, but there's still very minimal vibrations that I hear. Looking into the stabilizers themselves, they're not perfectly fitted onto the positioning plate, and they still move around. So I would suggest to add in some tape onto the positioning plate to tighten the stabilizers. You may also re-lube the stab wires with dielectric grease, but that is not necessary. Go ahead and modify the keyboard freely if you're not yet married. Otherwise, ask permission from your husband or wife before you spend a full day tinkering on a keyboard. Now, onto the switches, you get the Yunzii 45-gram milk switches, which deserves its name because of its creamy sound. For context, my ears hear a creamy sound when I do not hear much of a deep, bottom-out sound, but more of a hybrid between clack and thok. And sometimes my ear would hear a poppy sound, sometimes a creamy sound, which is basically very much similar to each one. But enough of me talking about sound, here is the actual sound test and you decide. This is offered in 3 colorways. You get a white, black, and pink. I got the white one because it would look best on camera, but I should agree that the black one and pink one also look good. The keycaps have a tricolor theme to it with a mixture of white, black, and light gray. Looks very professional and minimalist as the colors aren't too in your face, for lack of a better word. I really like that if you look around the keyboard, you won't find any branding on the top case, and it makes the keyboard really clean and neat. And this is something I expected because Yunzii does not always brand their keyboards. One of the key aesthetic features of the AL98 is the cloud shine through cutaway beside the escape key. Then you also get cutaways by the arrow keys with 3 lines to it, so it doesn't look entirely super bland. Onto indicators, you get a static white light for numlock and winlock when activated. But for caps lock, you get a dedicated LED light beside the key. And since we're talking about light, the RGB on each key is decent, though it's not super duper bright. It is acceptable though, as I wouldn't say it is dim. With the function key and backslash, you can cycle through the LED modes of the keyboard. And then if you want it off to save more battery, just press the function key and backspace. Though I couldn't figure out how to turn off the LED by the cloud beside the escape key. Anyhow, I think all necessary details and features have been discussed, and I'm sure I've missed out on a thing or two, so let me know if you have any questions. Utilize the comment section down below and check out the description for the link on where to get your Yunzii AL98 90% mechanical aluminum keyboard. I'm going to sleep. Doodles!